Guess we'll get started here. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hope you brought your coffee. My name's Max Bruno. I'm one of the regional directors here at Labster. With me are my colleagues Abby and Maddie. We're joining you from Boston today. Super excited to get to show Labster and give you a little product tour as well as what's to come in the future. Just a little background on me. I've been with Labster for about 2 years now, selling into the California space. I've been working with lots of schools throughout the state, so super excited to introduce the product to you. Now I want to hand it over to my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Madison Kenny, and I'm also Regional Director of Science Partnerships at Labster, focusing on Southern California. And I'm really excited to be here today and show you a little bit more about what you can look forward to and what access might look like. So I'm excited to kick this off, and I'll pass it back over to Abby.
Thanks, Maddie. So I'm Abby. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships with Labster, and I've been working with high school and higher ed for the last 5 years. So looking for a great session here.
All right, let's jump in. So here's what we have on the agenda today. First, we want to take you through a Labster overview, kind of tell you who we are, what we're doing here, some of the challenges we see, and how we can help. From there, we'll jump into the content. Maddie's going to run through our faculty resource page, run you through one of our simulations. And then we're going to learn more about building Labster into your course. And then Abby's going to take us through the vision and the roadmap. And at the end, we'll leave some time for questions. So we're going to be using a program called Slido. What you can do is you can just use your phone as you would at a restaurant to scan the menu. Just scan the screen here or just go directly to slido.com for a couple of polls and Q&As. Give you a few seconds to scan that code in. Great. So I want to kick this off with what are some challenges you're seeing in your classroom, whether it's today, previous years, during COVID. An example of this could be student engagement. So we'll give this about a minute or two here for you to toss up some challenges you're seeing in your classrooms. All right, I'm seeing limited resources for labs. Not enough time, it's one we hear a lot. Lack of motivation, yep. Student engagement, yep. Limited resources for labs. And these are all common challenges that we hear. Great. I'm going to move on to the next segment here. I'm going to talk about how we can help overcome these challenges. So whether it's in the class, the lab, or at home, Labster helps solve some of the biggest challenges facing high school education today. Now, I know you guys listed some of the challenges on that previous slide. Some other challenges can include conceptual understanding, student engagement, mastering necessary techniques and protocol, lack of student preparedness, knowledge gaps, and even learning outcomes. So the way we overcome this is through engaging virtual courseware. Just to mention a brief background on us, we were developed by scientists and educators in 2012 at the University of Copenhagen. So we understand what your students need and what your educators want. Now, since 2012, Labster has grown tremendously. We now have a catalog of over 20 course topics and over 200 simulations covering a wide variety of disciplines such as biology, chemistry, physics, earth science, you name it, it's probably on there. Labster has been able to reach over 3 million students globally and more than 20,000 high school instructors throughout North America. Now, Labster simulations have been mapped to AP, IB, and GSS curricula, and the effectiveness has been proven whether you're in the classroom, fully online, or even in a hybrid format. Now, I want to take you through a quick video that Labs provides. Now, as this video is playing, I'm going to talk about some of the key points. So today, as I mentioned, the platform contains over 200 simulations. Now, an important feature of our simulations is they can range from anywhere from 5 to 50 minutes long. So you can have a simulation with a single key concept or a long protocol spanning multiple concepts. Now, this makes Labster more flexible in the way you can integrate it with your course. Now, each simulation is going to be built around three main things. You have student engagement, the lab experience, and conceptual understanding. Now, when it comes to engagement, you can think of Labster like an educational video game. Now, each simulation is built around a storyline that links abstract theory and techniques covered to the real-world application. So students can be solving a crime, helping a local sports team, even assisting at the scene of an accident. Students are going to learn how this relates to real life and why they need to learn in the first place. Now, once you're back in the lab, students are required to go through every step that they would in a real wet lab, including the lab protocols, putting on those gloves, safety glasses, changing pipette tips. Students are going to be immersed into a real lab environment. Now, the platform allows students to learn in a way that's not possible in a real lab environment. We do this through incorporating interactive cellular and molecular visualizations so students can dive in, take a look around, and know it's not just magic taking place. Now, we have multiple choice quiz questions that are embedded throughout, the ability to change variables, as well as the ability to make mistakes. And each simulation is then graded and can be integrated directly into most learning management systems. Now, when it comes to content, most people think of us as just simulations, but we're actually a lot more than that. We have a lot of supplementary content that goes along. This is a chart to show our entire ecosystem of expanding learning resources. So we have everything from 3D animations, videos, thousands of science images, customizable lab reports and lab manuals, theory pages, teacher dashboards, and even professional development through Better Lesson. Now, taken together, this library of simulations and other resources allows you to really mix and match and tailor Labster to fit your unique teaching needs. So whether it's in person or online, we have a custom package that can work for you. Now, I want to run you through some of the data that backs Labster up. So this is actually one of our first publications done in Nature Biotechnology back in 2016. And it shows learning outcomes through knowledge, motivation, and self-efficacy of students of all knowledge levels. And the most and most significant impact was for those low knowledge students highlighted in green. Their knowledge gap actually decreased by about 20%, and motivation and self-efficacy went up across the board in all knowledge levels. So now I want to hand things over to my colleague Maddie, who's going to take you through the faculty resource page.
Awesome. Thank you, Max. All right, so let's see here. All right, so right now I'm going to show you what our faculty resource page looks like. So I'll open up into another tab here. So after this call, we will be reaching out directly to all the attendees and we'll be sharing unique access to this resource. So why is this beneficial to you? So as you evaluate Labster for your courses, you're able to look at this faculty resource and see all of the content that Max just highlighted. So you can see how this fits into your course and how you might integrate this into your lesson plans. So what I'm going to do now is pretty much just highlight what you should focus your time on as you leverage this resource and evaluate the content. So there's a few tabs at the top that I want to point out here. So there's the new tab, the getting started tab, simulations and teacher resources. So the new tab is pretty much information that's hot off the press that recently came out. So this is a great way to see what Labster is launching recently and new content, simulations, images, videos that have come out recently that you'll have access to. The Getting Started tab, this has a brief intro and overview of Labster. I recommend taking a look at this. It gives some more information about how you can leverage this great resource. And then we also have the Simulations tab. I'll get right back to this. Teacher Resources tab, this is great for teachers and admins as well. This is where you can see research, case studies, testimonials. You can see information on making sure that Labster works on student devices. You can see an overview of our high school curriculum alignment guide and how we align to NGSS, AP, and IB, like Max mentioned earlier. So there's a lot to see here. Well, I'll jump back into the Simulations tab. This is where you'll spend most time. This is really the bread and butter of Labster. So at the top here, you'll see all of our supplemental resources. So you'll see lab manuals and reports, animated videos, science images, our short simulations, and our translated simulations. So I will show you how these align to our simulations throughout. So what I want to do now is jump into a simulation and show you a model lesson plan. So there's a few ways to find our simulations. In the top left corner, you'll see our complete course package. If you click on this, this has a list of all of our simulations in alphabetical order. And it can be a little bit overwhelming, but I always mention this just because here you'll see that if there's something you can't find throughout, you're able to see it here and you can always fall back on this list. But if you know exactly what you're looking for and you want to see something, for example, in high school biology, you can scroll down to our high school biology package, click on that, and you'll see here the list of simulations. So I'm going to show you today Mendelian inheritance. So I will open that up in a new tab over here. So let's talk about the page here. So every simulation page looks the same. So there's the same layout. You'll have a pre-recording video on the left. You'll have the full simulation on the right. So the resource panel has the full simulation. So if you click this green button, you'll see and feel everything that the student will see and feel from their perspective. We have our resources here, a lab manual, lab report, and quiz questions. We have blank and answered quiz questions, as well as the theory pages. So if you also scroll down, you'll see a quick overview of what's included in the simulation. You'll see learning objectives, techniques covered in the lab. You'll see the estimated time to complete the simulation. You'll also get to see which languages are covered in the simulation. There's multiple options here, and you'll also have a glance at other how we align to other curriculum standards. So we have an overview of everything consolidated in the teacher resources tab, all the NGSS, IP, IB, and AP, but you also see it here. You'll also notice the related simulations. So we've taken our larger simulations and we've kind of sliced them up into small pieces of pizza. You can think of it that way. So we have shorter simulations that have all been derived from the main larger simulation. And Max mentioned that a little bit earlier. That's where you can cover maybe one key concept, whereas the larger simulation will cover multiple. So what I'll do today is I'll open up this pre-recording video. This way I can skip around a little bit, but just note that when you play the full simulation, you're not able to skip forward. You have to follow all the steps and you have to complete the simulation as a student would. But I will open this up here. I'll keep it on mute and I'll talk about our simulation. So this simulation is Mendel's law. So you'll see right away that we have a lab pad available. So this lab pad is pretty much home base. It's almost if you walked into a real lab with an iPad in your hands. And here you'll see the home tab, theory, media, and mission. So the mission gives you that checklist of what you'll accomplish in this simulation. We just teleported over to an ice cream shop. You'll see here that we're with a mom and her two children. We see that Johnny is struggling to see the difference between mint chocolate chip and strawberry ice cream. So he's having trouble seeing the difference between red and green. So he might be colorblind, but we're not 100% sure. So we want to jump back into the lab and really understand the fundamental concepts of colorblind traits and just genes and traits in general. So we come back to the lab here. We're going to get a brief overview of how to use the lab pad. If you're a first-time user, this is a great piece here to understand how you can use it. At the top, you'll always be able to track your score and your progress. I'll skip ahead so we can cover a few more things here. So one thing to point out as well is Dr. One. So I'll wait for her to pop up in the background, but Dr. One is a floating drone robot and she's present in all of our simulations and she's your lab assistant and she'll guide you throughout the way. So we're starting off an experiment here. So we're going to cross different fur colors of mice. So we have a cage with brown fur and a cage with black fur, and then we have our test cage. We're going to grab mice from each cage, brown fur and black fur, and we're going to cross them. We're going to observe their offspring, and we're going to record the results. We're going to answer some quiz questions throughout the way, and then we also get to cross the same fur color, and then we also get to speed up time and cross their offspring as well. So I'll skip ahead a little bit more so we can see this playing out here. One thing that's great about Labster, you'll notice the progress here, we don't have a set time limit. So you're able to, as a student, you're able to complete this at your own pace, and you can complete it multiple times if you'd like. The theory tab here, this is what's also shown in the lab manual, which I'll show you after this. This is great because you have access to all the information you need right in the simulation. You don't have to go anywhere else for it. So if you did want to print out the lab manual, that's great. You can highlight things, take some notes in front of you. But the theory tab's great, so you can just reference information right within the simulation itself. So here we're grabbing the mice from the test cage and we're going to add them to the test cage. We're going to observe their offspring. We'll see them populate right here in just a second. Awesome. Now we'll answer some quiz questions. I do want to skip ahead so we can see some other visualizations as well. Dr. One is floating in the background there. As a student, we get to manipulate a pedigree tree. It's very interactive. This is a great model here. We also get to play around with some Punnett squares. And then we also get to see things on the molecular level. So here you'll see the cellular mechanism behind Mendel's law of segregation. Teachers say all the time how it's really difficult to show very complex topics with just an expo marker and a whiteboard. So these animations here do a really great job explaining very complex topics that can be really difficult to show through an image on a slideshow or just an expo marker on a whiteboard. So I will minimize this here. I do want to make sure I don't ruin all of the surprises. I want to give everyone some time after this to explore on their own once they gain access. But I do want to show you the other resources that are available with the simulation. So when you think of Labster, it's not just a simulation. We have many more supplemental resources that come along with it. So for example, this is a lab manual. All this information is included within the simulation in the theory tab. But this is great because students can easily print this out and highlight and take notes as they're completing the simulation so they can use this as a study guide in the future. Then we also have our lab reports. They're available in multiple languages here, but I just want to show you the one in English really quickly. And this is great because throughout the simulation, you have multiple choice questions, but some students may want to, or some teachers may want to integrate claim evidence reasoning or the 5E learning model within their simulations and their quizzing. So you're able to take this lab report and make it your own and customize it for maybe some more open-ended questions so that students can answer these questions alongside of the simulation. And so when you think about Labster, we have the simulation, we have the long simulations, the short simulations, we have the lab reports, we have the lab manuals, and we also have animated videos. Teachers use this specifically for remediation. So a lot of teachers will leverage our dashboards and our reporting on how students have been completing the simulations and what their quiz scores are. And say, for example, if they notice over half the class is getting number question 5 wrong, they can go in and pull up our animated videos. I'll show you how to find these. And these are really short clips, anywhere from 20 seconds to 4 minutes. And this, for example, this one is meiosis, and this will show the cellular mechanism behind Mendel's law of segregation. So here, you're able to pull this up in front of a class, and you don't necessarily have to go through a full simulation. So this is a great resource if you just want to focus in on one key concept without going through an entire simulation. A lot of teachers also use this as openers or closers for class and will embed them into Google Forms. So I will show you how to find the animations. So if we go back to the top of the simulations tab on the faculty resource page, you'll see our library of animated videos. I pulled up one that was relevant for Mendel's law, but there's lots of topics here that you can see and click into. It'll open up in a new tab in a YouTube video, and you'll have access to that. And then one other resource I do want to show as well are animated videos, and then also our science images. So I won't go through this now because there are thousands of images here, but once you click into this science images, you open up our library, and we also have 3D chemistry visualizations, and those are great resources as well. Teachers talk about how long it takes to search, crop, and add images to their presentations for class. This is a great resource as well. And then if you're just specifically looking for our shorter simulations, you can access them here. And then if you're specifically looking for translated simulations, anything that's not in English shown on these pages here, you're able to click here and find that. So I'll jump back into the deck here. So I now will I'll still present, but I just want to pass things over to Max to talk about this slide here.
Great, thanks, Maddie. You just click one slide over. Perfect. So when it comes to integration implementation, the first step is where you're at right now, allowing you to review the content platform, the faculty resource page, to confirm it's a good fit with your students. From there, we can confirm how you're going to access and how we're going to get things set up. So when it comes to access in Labster, Labster can be accessed from any online laptop or desktop computer as long as it has an updated browser. So once things are set up, students will be able to access from anywhere, anytime, whether it's at home, the classroom, the local library, as long as they have a computer with internet access, they can access Labster. It's not going to require any kind of downloads, plugins, Flash, nothing like that. As far as setup is concerned, it can be done within 2 weeks, and you're going to have the option of how you want your students to access. As we mentioned earlier, we can link directly with your school's learning management system, which includes Google Classroom, Schoology, Moodle, even our own in-house Labster Direct. These are all included with pricing. Now, you can also now our lead time when it comes to implementation is about 1 to 2 weeks from the time we receive all the course information. Maddie, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Max. All right. So Max just talked about implementation and getting set up into your learning management system. And now I'm just going to talk about some other ways that you can continue to use Labster. So there's an opportunity for continued or more specialized professional development beyond an initial Better Lesson workshop. So we partner with Better Lesson so that way you're able to use ongoing virtual workshops or one-on-one coaching for a department chair or someone identified as sort of a science department Labster champion. So in these ways, you or your team are supported, and we make sure that you're able to use Labster in the most effective and efficient ways possible. From here, I'll pass things over to Abby.
Awesome. Thanks, Maddie. Great. So hopefully you can see my screen here. I'll be taking you through Labster's vision and our product roadmap. So this is really a view of what's to come with Labster. And I do want to mention that while this is our current plan, some areas may shift and change a bit. But one thing that we really highly value here is partner feedback. So we've been listening closely over the past year to what our high school partners need and have used it to really better help us shape Labster moving forward. So through this, we're positioning our platform to really maximize learning impact for students by enabling equitable access to our platform, spanning all science courses. And we really aim to deliver high quality content that's both scalable and easy to use. So this means that we'll align with more curriculums and from a technology standpoint, ease of use on a variety of different student devices. So teachers like you have really helped us identify the areas in our portfolio that we should prioritize as we develop new content. So to give you a sense of how quickly we plan to expand our catalog, we currently have 1 team creating high school content, but we plan to add another 6 content teams in the coming months. So the focus simulations will be around Earth and space, biology, chemistry, and physics. And what I'm sharing is really our goal, but our strategy is fluid, so there may be some changes as time goes on. But we're looking to scale down our reading levels and offer simulations down to an 8th grade reading level. Again, this is reading level, not 8th grade content at this point. We also understand that our full-length simulations may be too long for high school. So as Maddie mentioned before, we now have launched new mini simulations that range from 5 to 20 minutes in length, giving you more flexibility incorporating them into your classroom. We want the simulations to be clear, easy to use, and implemented with fidelity so that the platform is really a vital resource in your classroom. We've also launched new accessibility modes and are translating and localizing all of our content. So we know after a year of so much learning loss, it's really important for students to be able to learn in whatever language is most natural for them. So where a student may play the simulation in Spanish. As the teacher, you could then require the student to complete the lab report in English. So with these new features, we're also looking into difficulty settings so that you can switch between easy, medium, and hard. So some teachers have shared that there are many different knowledge levels within one class, and sometimes it's hard to teach everyone using the same tool. So this will allow you some flexibility to use Labster and directly impact all students at different knowledge levels. As you saw before, we have some great resources like the lab manuals available for all of our simulations, but we also plan to launch more detailed lesson plans in the coming months. We're also taking a look at potential free explore mode in our labs, which would be really exciting. So the next two slides really show some of the content that we're looking to launch. Again, this may change slightly over time, but it represents how much is coming down the line for our high school partners. So first with Earth and Space, this has been a category of our catalog that's been a bit lighter. And we've really heard our teachers loud and clear that they wanted to see more simulations for Earth and Space. So we have 15 launching or that are in the works right now, as well as 13 biology simulations, 10 chemistry, and 10 physics. So as you can see, our team is very busy here supporting our high school partners, and there's a lot that will be coming out in the next few months. So I'm going to hand things back over to Max. I know we have a little bit of time here for some more or for some Q&A. So I will pass it over to you, Max.
Thanks, Abby. All right, so hopefully everybody can see my screen here. So I'll let you scan in that code right there. Give you guys a minute to scan that in. Great. All right, and then I'll invite my other two colleagues to the board here and we can help answer some questions. Perfect. Looks like we have a few questions coming in here. Great, so I guess we'll start right from the top. How much does Labster cost? So Labster is typically based off total enrollment of your school or district, and we do have individual course pricing available. However, because it is based off total enrollments, this would be a good time to reach out directly to either Maddie, myself, or Abby. That way we can get those numbers and we can make you a custom pricing package. Looks like we have the next one. How long is trial access good for? So the trial access we're going to be giving you is going to be valid for 30 days. Maddie, do you want to take that next one?
The next one on as you release more simulations, that one?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, so as we continue to release more simulations into our catalog, you still will get access to those after you've purchased. So that is a great little perk there. We are constantly rolling out more and adding to our catalog. So you do not have an increased cost to that. It is included in your package.
Awesome. And then I see a question here. How long does it take to set up my account? Abby, you want to take that one?
Sure. So generally it takes about 2 weeks once kind of all the paperwork and everything is done for us to be up and ready to roll for your students. This time of year is certainly our busiest with so many schools getting back in the classroom. So we can try our best to work with you on whatever timeline you have, but I'd say generally it takes about 2 weeks.
Fantastic. Can I try Labster with my students before purchasing? So the access that we're giving you, the faculty resource page access, that's for faculty use only. as it contains the answers to all the quiz questions. However, we can provide a few trial links for you to try out with your students. Once we sync up to learn which courses you would like to try out, we can send over those trial links for you. And it looks like that's all the questions that we had there. You can give it another couple of seconds if there's any more questions. Great. Well, looks like there's no more questions. So we'll wrap it up here. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I know it was early. Hopefully you got your coffee in you. And we hope to see you again soon. You should expect an email from us by the end of this week with your trial access. Thanks so much, and we hope to see you guys again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. See you guys.